I went from toxic corporate work to burning out and then starting my own business. And I want to share with you how I did all that because when you're in those moments of working in a toxic work environment or burning out, it's like you can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel because you just think that the next thing is just going to be worse and worse and worse. So I want to share with you how I went through this journey in hopes that it helps you if you're feeling in any of these positions or thinking about starting a business. It's going to be very helpful for you to know what that experience looks like by someone else who has come out the other end of it. If you're new here, my name is Anna Pautassi. I am the owner of Dreaming Big Lifestyle. I'm a business coach and marketing strategist. So let me share with you. Originally, I was working at a corporate 9 to 5 job, and it was very much a toxic work environment. And by that I mean, like, I was having fights with my manager in my head before I even got to work. Like, it was just so toxic that it was consuming my everyday. And looking back on it, I can see how that was trickling into other parts of my life where, financially things weren't great. The love life wasn't great. Like, all these things just were not great because I was constantly in this negative space most of the time, because when you work 9 to 5, you spend most of your time at work. Like, that is just the reality of it. You're mostly at work. So you definitely want to make sure that it's not a toxic work environment because that will seep into a lot of different areas. And if you're thinking maybe you're in a toxic work environment but you're not sure, some signs to look for is, are you being told things and then the action taken is the opposite? Are people within the office being pinned against each other? Are people talking behind each other's back? That is very toxic work environment, not the place you really want to be in. So that's what I was in, and I manifested actually leaving that job. I knew 3 months into working there, which is like your probation period. I remember having a conversation with my mom, and I was like, Mom, I really don't want this job. Like, at that point, I hadn't realized it was a toxic work environment, but there's just something in the air, something in the air. And I was like, this is not for me. I don't think that this is the job that I'm meant to be in. And I don't really want to stick this out. And my mom convinced me to stay because, society tells you that you should be in a 9 to 5 job because that's going to create stability, bring you that consistent paycheck. So it totally made sense. But I wish I would have listened to that gut instinct. I did not. And I stayed at that job for a year and a half. And I remember nearing that, towards the end of that first year, I was like, I'm leaving in May. I don't care what happens. I don't care if I have something else lined up. I am leaving in May. This is the goal. And then I ended up leaving in May. I didn't have anything lined up. And part of me was so relieved that that safety net of the job got taken away, because what happens when you have the safety net of a 9 to 5, it's like, well, do I really want to start all over again? Do I want to really like make all new friends in this new job, potential new job? Do I really want to basically start from zero, relearn all these tasks, regain my seniority? So, it's a little bit hard to walk away. So the fact that it happened, I'm so grateful for it, even though it wasn't the way that I intended for it to happen. Grateful that it did nonetheless. With that, I decided not to rush into getting another job. I just needed time to decompress. And although I didn't have like the financial backing to really sit on my butt and do nothing for a few months, in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's okay. Everything's going to work out. I don't know how. I'm just going to trust that it is. And what I did spend my time on was on myself, like doing things that I was neglecting, like taking care of myself, doing healthy things, all the things that you say you're going to do and never get to because you're in a constant state of negativity that you just have no energy for anything. I laugh now. Back then, not funny. Now I can laugh about it. So I spent a lot of time focusing on myself, and I actually wrote down what I wanted for my job, word for word what I wanted. I wanted to work within the marketing industry because that's what I had studied. I wanted a creative job that allowed me to do a little bit of everything within the marketing world. I wanted to be able to like go to events and program events. I wanted to have the flexibility to work from home, which back then wasn't as common as it is now. I wanted to have like casual Fridays and team lunches. I literally wrote down everything. I even wrote down like what I was going to wear, like everything I can think of. And I was casually applying to jobs. Like, I wasn't applying to anything and everything. I was applying to things that actually felt good and made sense to me based on what it is that I had wanted. And in doing so, I had maybe at this point applied to like 6 different jobs in the span of 3 weeks, got an interview for a few of them, but one of them in particular, I was like, damn, did these people read my notes? Like, it's kind of wild that they know exactly what I wrote down, because the job description was exactly what I was looking for. And I ended up getting that job, and I worked there for a very long time, I think almost 5 years. It was an amazing experience. I learned so much, but I grew so much within the company that I ended up burning out. And when I burnt out, I made the decision to take a step back from work. And prior to doing this, I had actually done a lot of changes in my life. I had walked away from a relationship. I had been working a lot on myself, and in doing so, I traveled to Peru, and I had this like huge awakening because we did a trek in the mountain range, which, if you know Peru, the higher you go in this altitude, the less oxygen you have. So you're kind of emotionally, mentally, and physically like going through a whole bunch of things, and you have just yourself, because it's so hard to talk to other people when you haven't experienced that oxygen loss before. Like, anyone smiling at me or trying to make conversation, I was just, do not talk to me. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to breathe and make it to wherever we need to camp out. So it was a huge awakening, and it made me realize that I was really capable of doing anything. And then I started working on my mindset. I really just focused on loving myself, on being 100% me, doing things that, although were scary, I was like, worst case scenario, I'm gonna have a memory from it. Like, there really isn't a worst case scenario. And I really just, YOLO, like, lived my best life. And that pushed me into starting my own business, because I realized after I burnt out at what was my dream job at the time, that I'm like, I just really don't like being chained to my desk. And the only way that I see myself not having that is by having my own business, where I can control my time and also control like my finances. Like, if I work more, I make more, blah, 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 right? Although that's not necessarily how I see my business now. In fact, like, I don't feel like I need to be in front of my computer 24/7 to make 24/7 money. I've set it up so that I don't have to be here and I can still make money. That's a little side tip, and you can watch some of the other videos to learn more about that. But I started my business because that's just what made sense for the lifestyle that I envisioned for myself. It made sense for me to have the control of my time, to be able to not have to wake up at 9 in the morning and work until 5. Like, that just wasn't driving with me the more I learned about myself. So I started my business, and as a side part-time thing, because I wanted to help more women know that they can do the same, that they could have control of their lives. What I realized was that I didn't know that I could have control of my life, that I can make the decisions that I needed to have control, to do the things that I wanted, to live my life the way that I wanted. So when I had this awakening, I'm like, I need to help everyone that I possibly can experience this and know that they too have the control to live the lives the way that they want. So after I burnt out, so at this point I was working 9 to 5, starting my business part-time. I burnt out. I demoted myself to part-time within my 9 to 5 job. And then by the end of that year, I walked away and I took my business full-time. And let me tell you, it was scary, but it also felt so right. You know, that little fear, not little, at the time it felt massive, but that fear was just like loud enough to know that it was there, but not loud enough that the feeling of this is exactly what I'm meant to be doing was dimmed. So I did it regardless of the fear. And that first year of going full time, let me tell you, it's scary. It's a bit of a mental roller coaster, because you're, even though I had been doing my business part time, it's very different when you take away the safety net of the 9 to 5 and you show up for your business differently. There's different requirements from you mentally to take that on and be the CEO, and also wear the different hats, see the gaps within your business and help clients. Like, you're doing a whole bunch of stuff. And if you're in a position where you can hire out a lot of those things, I highly recommend, because it reduces a lot of the mental stress that comes with that first year of full-time business. And it was the best thing ever. Once I made it through the first year of full-time, I never looked back. I am so thrilled to be doing this. And I get to work with such amazing people, like the small business owners that I help, that I coach, that I do marketing for. I love them, and they're out there just doing amazing things in the world, and it just feels so good. And if all you get from this is that you should be doing something that feels so good to you, I am beyond excited that you got to the end of this video and just got that message, that do what feels good to you. And if that comes from a 9 to 5 job, that is amazing. Go ahead and do that. But if it doesn't come from 9 to 5 job, I have a free challenge to help you start thinking about, is starting a business right for you or not? Because in that moment when I first decided to start my business, I freaked out. I was like, am I really going to do this? Because there's a lot of vulnerability that comes with starting your business, because you're now showing yourself online in a different way, and you're also telling people that you have skills that are amazing, which you do, that people need to pay for, because you're going to better whatever it is that you better for someone else within your services, offers, or products, right? So this free challenge is going to help you kind of narrow down, is this right for you? Why do you want to do this? And all that good stuff, all the things that I went through to really decide if starting my business was the right thing for me. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned.